All right, guys. The top 10. This is actually a double top 10. Um, I'm a child of the 80s. Um, I loved, what are we going to call it? The hair metal, hard rock of the 80s, the glam bands. Um, that was my main genre of music. So I'm going to do my top 10 bands, favorite bands when I was, 14, 15, 16, in the early 90s, to my top 10 bands from that same era uh, that I listen to now. The most my top 10 favorite now. So in the early 1990s, so I was 15, 14, 15, 16, 17. Um, Number 10 was Skid Row. Um, Love the music, hated Sebastian Bach, but Skid Row. Number 9, LA Guns. Back when Steve Riley and Tracy Guns and the band could actually function together a little bit. I think they're doing it good now. Number 8, David Lee Roth. Was never a big Van Halen fan, but loved David Lee Roth. The whole Eat 'em and Smile album, Skyscraper, two great albums. Number 7, Motley Crue. I loved Motley Crue back in the 80s, early 90s. Loved their hard look and everything. Number 6, Whitesnake, David Coverdale. Just loved his soaring vocals. Great, great band overall. Number 5, Rat. Incredibly dysfunctional band even in the 80s, but Robin Crosby, Stephen Perry or Stephen, yeah, can't forget it. His name just escapes me. Piercy, God Lord. Rat, loved Rat. Number 4, favorite band was Warrant. Their songs were easy. I mean, they were kind of what I think destroyed. They're part of the reason I think 80s metal declined so much because they were just kind of so manufactured, but I liked Warrant. Number 3, Cinderella, one of the most talented bands probably out there still. Like Tom Kiefer, just an absolute genius. But they were technically, I think, probably the strongest band. In terms of style and performance. Number 2, I'm embarrassed, Stryper. I really like Stryper. I did not like their message at all, but I really like their songs, I guess. And number 1, Poison. I found Poison back in, late 1985 or something like that. I came across them and just first one to buy the tape, bring it to school, and first one listening to them in school. So I love Poison. So there's my top bands in the early 90s, late 80s. So Poison, Stryper, Cinderella, Warrant, Rat, Whitesnake, Motley Crue, David Lee Roth, LA Guns, and Skid Row. Okay, so now let's advance here 30 plus years. I'm an old man now, but I still pretty much exclusively listen to music from that era. So a couple of these bands make a repeat. So I'm going to do a couple of honorable mentions now. Winger. I listened to them in the late 80s, early 90s. Not a massive fan, but their album Pull today, it's an amazing album. So I had Winger as a honorable mention, mainly because of their album Pull, my favorite one. Another honorable mention is Steelheart. Those guys are still out there performing, and they sound amazing, unbelievably amazing. All right, number 10, Enough's Enough. Loved them I liked them in the 80s, but as you start listening through their other albums that have come out, they put out a ton of music. They've had the lead singer left, Donnie Vie left, Chip Z'Nuff now the lead singer, but I love Enough's Enough. I listen to them all the time. Their music has kind of got that psychedelic little sound to it. Rat, they were number 5, now they're number 9. I listen to them all the time. Still good albums. The band today is pretty dysfunctional though. Cinderella, still listen to a lot of Cinderella. They don't perform anymore together. It's probably why they've fallen a little bit. They don't make new music. Tom Kiefer's still out there making music, but it's not the band. Motley Crue's still on my list, but it's only John Corabi era music. That was the I forget what album it was now, but I love Hooligan's Holiday. So I still listen to Motley Crue. I only listen to that one album with John Corabi. LA Guns, still there. They're out there performing still. There's a couple splinter factions, but Tracy Guns and Phil are back together performing. Another new band to the list, Love Hate. That was Jizzy Pearl's album or music band. I'm sorry. So I listened to a lot of Love and Hate today. Poison, still love them. I like their original stuff. Bret Michaels has destroyed the band. CC still amazing, writes amazing music. You can tell the songs that CC had a heavy hand in because they still kick ass. Number 3, Skid Row. So Skid Row has really moved up. They were number 10 band I listened to by the most in the 90s. Today they're number 3, and that is only because the 2 albums that Johnny Solinger put out with them, Revolutions Per Minute and Thick Skin. I love the Thick Skin album. It's hard. It's amazing. I like his vocal styles. It's not the same as Sebastian Bach at all, but I love Skid Row now. Love them with Johnny Solinger. I listen to their album, the Solinger albums, all the time. A couple live recordings as well. Classic Skid Row with Solinger singing them. Number 2, Faster Pussycat. I was never a Faster Pussycat fan back in the day, but they're front row at the Donkey Show, and amazing album. Power of the Glory Hole. Power of the Glory Hole is the album. Front row at the Donkey Show is their live album. They've got that industrial sound. I love Skid Row now, or I love Faster Pussycat now. Can't listen to them enough, even the classics. They're always on my playlist. And number 1 most listened to band from that 80s, very early 90s that I'm listening to, and it's on all the time, is Faith No More. I liked Faith No More back in the late 80s, early 90s, but now as I've gotten into all their albums and Mr. Bungle's, Patton's, other side projects, they're an amazing band, amazing songwriting. Patton's got the biggest vocal range probably in rock history. Sounds amazing still. They're still out there touring, still out there putting out music. So they're probably my number 1 band that I listen to today from the late 80s, early 90s. So there's a lot of the bands I listen to today of newer music, but these are the bands that were around back in the day that are still out there and I'm still listening to. So the top bands I listen to today from the 80s, early 90s: Faith No More, Faster Pussycat, Skid Row with Solinger, Poison, Love Hate, LA Guns, Motley Crue with John Corabi, Cinderella, Rat, Enough's Enough with Steelheart, and Winger, the Pull album, kind of be an honorable mention. So there you go. Top 10 favorite bands of mine from the late 80s to very early 90s, to my top favorite bands from that same era today. Thanks, guys.